Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about the possibility of talk and discussion between the US President Trump and the Russian President Vladimir Putin, because both sides have shown a certain willingness to engage in dialogue and discussion after almost a period of 3 years since the beginning of the Russia-Ukraine war. Now, what this entire discussion talks basically will be concerned about, and what does it mean for both sides? Both sides means US as well as Russia, and also we can talk about the Ukraine, largely on which the discussion is expected to take place. Now, why we are discussing about this? Because recently in a press conference held by the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Dmitry we can say Peskov, who is the official spokesperson for the Russian president, he has stated the President Vladimir Putin is ready to hold a phone call with the US President Donald Trump, and Moscow is waiting for the word from Washington that whether it is ready also or not. The reason behind this, because Trump has stated after taking charge as a president and also even during his election campaign that he has claimed even many times that if he were the president of US at a time when Russia-Ukraine war started, the war would not have even started. And this is something that interestingly has been acknowledged by Putin as well just 2 days back. So Trump has stated clearly that he is willing to meet Russian president as soon as possible, largely to secure an end to the war with Ukraine, and express his desire that they will also discuss and talk toward cutting off the nuclear arms, or in basically we can say denuclearization. Earlier he also has warned that if Russia does not show its willingness to end the ridiculous war, that is how Trump has framed it, in Ukraine, then obviously the US is going to impose exceptionally high tariffs on Russia, and it will further sanction the country, and also it will cause a complete crippling of the Russian economy. So in this context, Russia's response has been clear also, because it has stated that both US and Russia want to resume nuclear disarmament negotiation as soon as possible, because the START treaty, that was the strategic arms reduction treaty that was signed during the presidency of Barack Obama and when Dmitry Medvedev was the president of the Russia, that has been suspended after the sanctions imposed by US on Russia due to the Ukrainian war. Now, such talks would need to be wider. However, Russia has put forward its point that now the new phase of engagement, new phase of discussion about nuclear disarmament should not only restrict itself to the Russia and United States. Obviously, these two countries are the largest, we can say, have largest stockpile of nuclear armaments, but Russia also has said that other countries having nuclear arsenals, especially the allies of US, should also be brought under the ambit of this engagement, and largely referring to countries such as France and Britain, obviously. And Dmitry Peskov has stated that now what Russia feels and thinks about the entire situation, it has stated it has expressed it freely. So the ball is in the court of US, which has stopped all substantive contacts with our country, obviously referring to due to the Ukraine war. Now, what does this mean? If you talk about, suppose that Trump and Putin meets and they talk about engagement, nuclear disengagement and all that. So what it means? Now, first of all, one thing that we have to understand is that new START treaty, that is new strategic arms reduction treaty, signed during the Obama presidency, that will come to an end on the February 5, 2026. That is just almost a year from now. Till now, or for example, even now it has been suspended by the Russia. Now, the significance of this START treaty can stand from the fact that it is this treaty that caps the number of strategic nuclear warheads that the US and Russia can deploy. And deployment of land and submarine based missile system and the bombers to deliver them also is controlled overall under this particular treaty. So in essence, what we can say that the new START treaty seems to be the last remaining pillar of the nuclear arms control between the world's two biggest nuclear power. And that is how you can understand how significant it is that both countries come together, discuss, talk, and if not about the Ukraine war, if they cannot agree upon the Ukraine war, at least they can agree upon the resumption of the new START treaty, so the nuclear threat of nuclear holocaust that the world faces can be dialed down. Now, we talk about the oil prices. So many of the experts were claiming that US has said that it will put heavy sanctions on the Russian oil, and some of the examples we have seen in last week also, where many tankers that were supplying Russian oil, which was part of the shadow fleet, has been brought under the US sanction. by the departing Joe Biden presidency or president. So if you talk about the Trump's Davos demand, Trump also has reiterated, and in the Davos where the World Economic Forum Summit has recently concluded, Trump even has asked that OPEC, that is the oil and petroleum exporting countries, and the Saudi Arabia, which is the largest supplier of crude oil in the world, should lower the oil prices. Now, why Trump is emphasizing upon the lowering of oil prices? Because he believes that if the oil price is lowered, it will further cut the revenue that Russia is generating from the oil trade, and it will further strain its resources that might cause them to rethink, Russia to rethink about its entire war plan in Ukraine. So, on the other hand, this has been completely refuted again by Russia, where it has stated that this conflict, the war, if you talk about the Ukraine war, it has nothing to do with the oil prices. Rather, Peskov has alleged that the entire conflict is happening because of the threat to the Russian Federation's national security, and also he has stated that the West has shown a complete refusal of the Americans and European of the Russia's concern, especially related to the expansion of NATO and related to the security concerns of the Russia. So the oil we talk about, obviously they cannot directly acknowledge it, and they have said that oil price has nothing to do with the war. On the other hand, also Peskov has claimed that a starting of negotiation can be challenging, because in a decree passed by the Verkhovna Rada, which is the parliament of Ukraine, we can say, and also President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine, both have said that they cannot have any kind of negotiations or engagement with Russia as long as Vladimir Putin remains the head or the president of Russia. So how this entire situation will change, how the discussion will start, that is something that we have to look forward to. Now, what about Ukraine? So Trump has already stated that Ukraine is ready to make a deal, and he also has said clearly during his speeches that Volodymyr Zelensky is ready to negotiate a deal. He would like to stop. He is somebody that lost a lot of soldiers, and at the same time also Trump has said that Russia has also lost a lot of soldiers, and even he has went on and said that Russia has lost more soldiers than Ukraine. They have lost almost 800,000 soldiers. So both sides have faced a tremendous casualty in the last few years of war, and that is why Trump has equated it with a kind of madness that the world has never seen after the World War II. He has referred this entire situation as nothing but catastrophic in nature, and that is why he is trying, or because he wants to portray himself as a peacemaker, he is trying hard to come to some sort of agreement as far as the war is concerned. Now, let us suppose that discussion indeed goes on between the Trump and Putin, and some sort of we can say compromises are made, some sort of negotiation reached. What can be there for the Ukraine? So obviously the engagement can be, first of all, for the agreement of the ceasefire, where Russia will stop any kind of attack on the Ukrainian territory, and also at the same time the counter offensive by the Ukrainian forces also will have to stop. So that is one possibility, similar on the lines of what we have seen in the case of Israel, Hezbollah, or Israel, Hamas. Now, if we talk about the loss of territory, that obviously is going to be a big setback for Ukraine, because you know that in last few years of war, Russia has moved and has captured a large part of the territory, especially in the eastern Ukraine, which also is a resource-rich region, especially in the context of coal and iron ore. And third, on the other hand, positive side, we can see that due to the continuous bombardment and the launch of missiles by Russia, the Ukrainian economy infrastructure has faced tremendous damage that has crippled the economy of the country as well, and also a lot of human lives obviously have been lost. So this might be prevented if some sort of ceasefire like agreement is reached. Now, in this context, the President Zelensky of Ukraine has also stated that even if a ceasefire is reached, at least 200,000 European peacekeepers will be required. Suppose some sort of demilitarized zone is created between the Russia and Ukraine, something that existed between the North Korea and South Korea. In that case, if suppose after a few years, again Russia recoups its strength, again it tries to mobilize its forces and launch a fresh attack. In that case, 200,000 European peacekeepers, he has demanded, should be there to prevent any violation of the ceasefire deal. On the other hand, talk about if indeed such kind of deal happens, what can be the potential implications for Russia? So obviously, Russia has faced heavy sanctions. Today, it is even believed that it is the highest and heaviest sanctioned country in the entire world after Iran and North Korea. So some sort of sanctions, if not all, can be seen to be lifted under Trump presidency. and this will ease the economy or the pressure on the economy of the Russia. Especially we talk about the ruble, the Russian currency that has seen a massive decline in last few years. From earlier before war, you talk about 1 ruble or $1 was equivalent to around 80 ruble, and now it has reached to 105 rubles. So that will something that we can expect to change. Similarly, a lot of dollar reserves that Russia had outside, that has been basically seized, and Russia do not have any access to it as of now. So they might be provided again access to the US dollar reserves. And last, resumption of oil and gas supply to some extent we can see, because a lot of gas pipelines, the oil supply and the gas supply has been cut off. But that will also ease pressure on the inflation, not only in the European countries but also at a global scale. So these are some changes, the implications we can see if indeed any kind of negotiation and agreement is reached between the leaders of US and Russia. So that is all about this particular video. I hope you got the gist of what is going to happen in coming few weeks or maybe even coming few months after both presidents decide to join hands and have a discussion around it. So if you like the video, please hit the like button, share it with your fellow aspirants, as well as subscribe to our channel for more such helpful content. Thank you very much.